Listen, this really happened. There were 14 of them. I counted 14 men and women, all very well dressed, all of them down on their hands and knees, hiding behind a row of bushes that cuts across the middle of the park where I had gone to do my exercises. They were keeping very quiet. Off to one side was a man with a boom box. I thought to myself, what in the world is going on? I tried not to spy on them as I began to do my exercises, but in a minute or two, a young couple entered the park from the far end, walking toward that row of bushes. When they got within a few feet, all the men and women jumped up and laughed and clapped and shouted, and the man with the boombox put on some music and everybody started to dance. They danced around this young couple and danced them down toward the other end of the park where they formed a canopy with their arms. They indicated for the woman to go under the canopy while the man ran around to the other end and got down on one knee. When the woman emerged from the canopy, the music stopped and it was very quiet. The man said some words which I couldn't hear, but I could guess. Then the woman said some words and everyone clapped and cheered, and the man stood up and the couple hugged, and the music started again and they danced the happy couple out of the park. The whole thing had taken only a couple of minutes. What a gift to be present for such a moment of joy and grace when I least expected it. May such moments of joy and grace come to you when you least expect them. This morning I want to draw your attention to the gifts which we receive when we least expect them. Often they are something we don't deserve and had no reason to anticipate. They come to us simply because we happened to be in the right place at the right time, perhaps simply because we are human. I invite you to think about times when such gifts have come to you. Robert Louis Stevenson wrote this simple and brief but profound children's poem. You may remember it. The world is so full of a number of things, I'm sure we should all be as happy as kings. It is true that there are so many little things, so many joys, so many gifts that come to us every day simply because we are human that we hardly notice or think about them. It may be the taste of chocolate cake or the memory of a walk in the woods. It may be the way a puppy wags its tail or a bird cocks its head and looks at you. It may be the sight of a rainbow. It may be the music of Mozart or Prokofiev or the Beatles. Somehow things stop for a moment, and our heart is strangely warmed, and this human life seems extra good, if only for a moment. I sat down on a park bench in front of a fountain early in the morning one day last summer. The fountain was beautiful enough in itself, but as I sat there, I became aware that the sun was creating a rainbow in the spray of the fountain. Whenever I see a rainbow, I instantly have memories of the earliest time I ever saw one, when I was very small. I remember where I lived at the time and the sound of my mother's voice telling me that if I could find the end of the rainbow, there would be a pot of gold there. What a great adventure for a 3 or 4-year-old, looking around the yard and the neighborhood for the end of the rainbow and the pot of gold. Of course, I never found it, but the searching was a wonderful experience. This is what flashes into my mind each time I see a rainbow. Well, of course, since then I've learned the physics of it, about the refraction of light through the droplets of water and the light wavelengths and the color spectrum and all that. Those things, too, come to my mind when I see a rainbow. But the first thing is that early memory which is always so pleasant. We all have experiences like this. They are gifts which are almost always unexpected, which we have done nothing to earn and probably do not even deserve. They are ours simply because we are human. Some years ago, in connection with the Partner Church program, I spent 4 weeks at the University of Debrecen in Hungary, studying Hungarian language and culture. The University of Debrecen is a very busy place, with many programs of instruction and conferences and events going on all the time. For several days one week, there seemed to be some sort of music conference, or maybe it was a competition that was going on. So occasionally I heard musical instruments in the dormitory, and I saw groups of people singing and playing music. On Saturday morning, there was a huge culminating event, and so there was a huge combined choir of hundreds of people together with an orchestra, maybe of 100 or more musicians, all assembled in front of the great main building of the university for a huge concert. After that, I guess the music conference was over, and it was time for the people who had attended it to go home. So it was that the next morning, there were lots of buses assembled in the plaza outside the dormitory where I was staying. Various groups of musicians and singers were getting on the buses to go back home. Some of them were loading instrument cases into the luggage bins on the side of the buses. One choir formed a circle outside the bus it was about to get on and started to sing. So there I was, 7 o'clock or so on a Sunday morning, in a strange place, half asleep, getting dressed and tying my shoelaces and so forth, and a choir was singing to me right outside my window. What a gift! I did not expect it. I had done nothing to earn it. I probably did not even deserve it. But there it was, strangely warming my heart. It was mine to enjoy, simply because I am a human being. At my home here in Washington, D.C., there's an alcove off the living room with windows that look out onto an arm of Rock Creek Park, and a little creek, Klingle Creek, flows through it. The trees are much higher than my windows, even though I'm on the 6th floor of the building. I enjoy watching birds and squirrels in the trees. Birds pay no attention to me when I'm still. If I move, they flit around nervously, interested only in protecting themselves with danger. Squirrels also usually pay no attention to me. They're busy hopping and climbing and storing food and so forth. But once in a while, one will see me in the window looking out and will stop and cock its head and look back at me quizzically as if to say, "What are you doing?" It's sort of like when Bugs Bunny says, "Hey, what's up, Doc?" Gifts like these come unexpectedly. We did nothing to earn them, and we probably do not deserve them. They come to us simply because we are human. The poet and mystic John Donne wrote this meditation in 1624, almost 400 years ago. Now this bell tolling softly for another says to me, "Thou must die." No man is an island, entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of thy friends or thine own were. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Indeed, the bell will toll for each of us soon enough. Of that we can be certain. The day is coming when no one who is here today will be here in this place, just as so many of those who were faithful for many years are no longer among us today. One day soon enough, the obituary page will list my name. One day soon enough, the obituary page will list your name. We do not know when that day will be. In the meantime, let us enjoy the gifts which are ours, whether it is the sound of a child's laughter, or the taste of wild strawberries, or the quick smile of a friend, or the sound of heavenly music, or a rainbow, or a precious memory which seems to spring from nowhere. Enjoy it. Let it strangely warm your heart, knowing that you did not expect it, you did nothing to earn it, and you probably do not even deserve it. Be glad that it is yours, simply because you are human. When you receive such a gift, do not expect to receive it again. Do not pass up the chance to enjoy it now, for it may not come your way again. Give thanks for the gift. Say words of praise if you wish for the source from which it comes, however it is given to you to understand that source. That is what Garrison Keillor is doing in one of his essays when he writes, "Thank you, dear God, for this good life, and forgive us if we do not love it enough." Or Kurt Vonnegut, when near the end of his life, he writes, "Almost everything I saw, I loved." Above all, when the gift comes to you, whatever and whenever it is, do not worry about whether it was intended for you, or whether you earned it, or whether you deserve it. Do not ask for whom the gift is given. It is given for you. Those are my thoughts this morning about unexpected gifts. What thoughts do you have? Let the congregational dialogue begin.